have zeroed out Special Olympics once again. I still can't understand why you would go after disabled children in your budget. You zero that out. It's appalling.
What is it that we have a problem with children who are in special education? Why are we cutting all of these programs over and over within this budget?
This is about you prioritizing your agenda over students with special needs.
I heard about it this morning. I have overridden my people. We're funding the Special Olympics.
Well, the Education Secretary, Betsy DeVos, spent a lot of time on Capitol Hill fielding some heat, as you saw, from lawmakers about the budget and Special Olympics funding. The president saying this afternoon, well, he's overriding all of that. That's where we'll start. We'll bring in our panel. Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano, Leslie Marshall, Democratic strategist, and Bill McGurn, Main Street columnist for the Wall Street Journal. You know, Bill, you've seen how the White House's work with budgets. I mean, it's a very detailed process, and you put your people out to defend what's on the paper, and then kind of shifts here today, late in the day.
Right. Look, I think President Trump was smart. This was a political blunder. But let's put in the larger context. She was trying to cut the budget, which is very, very hard to do. And this was a private institution. It does tremendous work. So, this is the way Washington behaves. It's very difficult to cut spending. And I think one of the Democrats in the committee pointed out their real issue with Betsy DeVos is not that she cuts the spending for Special Olympics. It's that she has a different agenda, charter schools and so forth, than they do.
The other thing, Leslie, is health care. A focus this week that kind of veered. A lot of people wondered where it was coming from, but the Department of Justice not defending Obamacare, which is going to open up a whole bunch of doors for what comes next. Here's the president late this afternoon on that.
We've put together a group of 4 or 5, and Bill Cassidy is a terrific healthcare person, and they are going to work together, come up with something that's really spectacular. Maybe we'll even get support in the House from Democrats, but it's going to be far better than Obamacare. If we win on Obamacare, it will be terminated in the court, and we'll see what happens.
Leslie, your thoughts?
I can tell you it's going to happen. Millions of people will be without health care, and many of those millions, a very good percentage of them, voted for the president and support the president, but they also support and like their Obamacare. In addition to that, Republicans have failed in the past, Brett, as you know, on more than 2 occasions with repeal and replace. So I guess I would say to Republicans and to the president, thank you for the extra votes come 2020. Even many Republicans are pushing back on the president putting this forth.
Yeah, Judge, I mean, it's daunting. They've been around this track before on health care, and whether the replace is actually there is the question. He says he's got these lawmakers, ready to go, but it's not there yet.
I don't think he has the lawmakers ready to go, and I don't think the replacement is there. In my view, in my world, the replacement would be let the states experiment and unleash the free market, but I don't think there's a political consensus for that. You know, the Obamacare case was saved by a thread, and the thread was the Chief Justice's unique observation that this is a tax and the government can tax anything it wants. It can't regulate anything it wants, but it can tax anything it wants. When the Trump tax plan went through, they removed the tax aspect of this. So that which saved the constitutionality of Obamacare is no longer in there. That is at least the theory of the trial court in Texas, which I think will be upheld by the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in New Orleans. And then we're back before the Supreme Court, the very same statute, minus that which saved it in 2012, the tax.
While I have you, Judge, Jim Comey, former FBI director, is out again with an interview with Lester Holt on NBC. We put together my interview with the former FBI director to just compare and contrast. Take a listen. Did you inform the president-elect at the time what you knew about how it was funded or who was behind it?
No, I did not.
Did you inform him that Christopher Steele had been fired by the FBI?
No.
Or that he had lied?
No, and I didn't know those things at that time anyway.
Or that it had been used, at least in part, to get this FISA application to spy on somebody in his campaign?
No, didn't come up.
you want this whole thing out?
Oh, it has to. Because the bedrock of the Department of Justice, which Bill Barr loves and Bob Mueller loves and I love, is that people have faith and confidence that it's not part of a political tribe.
So he's talking about the special counsel's report, wants the whole thing out. Your reaction, Judge?
Well, Jim Comey is indefensible. You know, I know him, and when he was running the FBI, was beloved by the rank and file agents. I can't say that that is my perception of the case any longer. In terms of the entire report coming out, there are parts that the Attorney General under the law cannot release. He cannot release grand jury testimony about people that weren't indicted. The president wasn't indicted. He can't release that which is classified as confidential, secret, or top secret. He isn't even supposed to release any ambivalence on the part of federal prosecutors about whether there's enough evidence under the law to indict, but that he's already tipped his hand on. So when this comes out, there's going to be page after page after page in black. And of course, the Democrats are going to howl. They want to see what's under those blacked out pages. And most people want to see it as well.
You know, Bill, we had Rush Limbaugh on the show earlier talking about the fallout of all of this. He was one of a few people saying the same things for really more than 2 years. But on this issue of whether the Attorney General is somehow covering up, address this directly. Take a listen.
Pelosi and the rest want us to believe that Barr is lying about what's in this report, that there is evidence of collusion in this report. If that's true, what must they think of Barr? What must they, and where is Mueller saying, hey, wait a minute, Barr is lying about this. I found collusion. I found obstruction. It's in my report. Mueller isn't saying that.
Fair point, Bill?
Yeah, look, I have three things that I think are relevant to this. One is I want as much of this report as public as possible. Maybe it can't be all of it, but I think the American people should see most of it. Second, I also want all the other stuff out. I want the FISA warrant information, all the other stuff. Let's see the whole story about how the FBI behaved. And third, you have to ask, what kind of show was James Comey running? A lot of the people around him have been replaced by Christopher Wray, and you have Andrew McCabe possibly facing perjury charges for the IG reports. We also have a pending IG report on the FISA warrants and the leaks, so a lot more could come out. There's a U.S. attorney looking at it. The intimation is that he's going before a grand jury. I'm not sure that the FBI is going to come out of that looking very good.
Yeah, last thing, Leslie, wrap up here. Do Democrats want to stay on this road and really hit this hard, or do they want to move on to health care and other things that they think they have good footing on?
I think it depends which Democrat you ask. If you look at people like Speaker Pelosi and even Adam Schiff, even though a lot of people are angry with him lately, they have always been saying with regard to impeachment, when the report comes out, there's going to have to be a bombshell. We're going to have bipartisan support. There's been no bombshell. There would not be bipartisan support. And I even said a lot of the Democrats, myself included, don't think impeachment's the way to go. And that faction of the Democratic Party really doesn't want to proceed with investigation after investigation after investigation, although they do have a responsibility in Congress to have proper congressional oversight of the executive branch, of the president, and I think they want enough investigations to dot those I's and cross those T's.
Panel, thank you very much. When we come back, a big day. One of our all-time favorites would have loved this day.